Question 10. The table shows some information about the weights in grams of 60 eggs. So you've got the frequency, how many times something happens. So in this case it's the number of eggs, and no eggs were greater than 0 grams but less than or equal to 30. There were 14 eggs that were greater than 30 grams but less than or equal to 50. There were 16 eggs which were greater than 50 but less than or equal to 60, and there were 21 eggs, the most eggs were greater than 60 grams but less than or equal to 70. And last of all, there's 9 eggs that were greater than 70 grams but less than or equal to 100. Okay, so part A says calculate an estimate for the mean weight of an egg. So to find the mean, you have to add up all the weights of every single egg and divide it by the number of eggs there are. Okay, so if we just have a quick look at this one here, there's 14 eggs, and the eggs could be 31, 32 grams, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, it could be 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, or even 50 grams, okay? And we just don't know, but there's 14 eggs that's between these weights here, okay? So you're going to need a midpoint, and you're going to assume that all of these eggs are going to be 40 grams in this case, okay? So if you find the midpoints of the class intervals, so the midpoint between 0 and 30 is 15, midpoint between 30 and 50 is 40, midpoint between 16 is 55, midpoint between 21 is 65, and a midpoint between 70 and 100 is 85. Okay. Now we're going to times these through to get the total weight. Okay, so there's 0 eggs, and we're assuming they're all 15 grams. Okay, and that gives us a total weight of 0. 14 times 40 is 560 grams here. 16 times 55 is 880, so there's 880 grams of egg here. 21 times 65 gives us 1,365 grams. And 9 times 85 gives us 765 grams. So that's all the weights. Okay, now we need to add that all together to get a total weight of all those eggs. So 560, add 880, add 1,365, add 765 is 3,570 grams. Okay, so that's a total weight of all of the eggs. Well, that we're guessing anyway. We're assuming that that's the total weight of all the eggs. So if it's 3,570 and there are 60 eggs in total, we need to divide that by 60 to give us a mean weight of one egg, and that is 59.5 grams. And that's the final answer, 59.5 grams. Now, question 10, part A, is worth 4 marks. Let's have a look at how you get those marks. Okay, so the first one's a method mark for having at least 4 correct midpoints here. And then the second mark comes from at least 4 correct products. So where you times the frequency by the midpoints, okay, 4 of those correct. The third mark comes from dividing the total by 60, okay, and the fourth and final mark comes from an answer of 59.5 grams. And that's it. So, part B says complete the cumulative frequency table. Okay, so we're going to need the information above, so I'm going to scroll back up. So we're going to need to add, so from 0 to 30 grams there's 15 eggs, sorry there's 0 eggs, so 0 is there. Now from 0 to 50 we're going to need to add all the eggs between 0 and 30 and 30 to 50, so we need to add these two numbers, so 0 and 14. Now from 0 to 60, so that's everything up to 60, we're going to have to now add this 16 onto that number. So we need to add 16 onto 14, which is 30. And everything up to 70, from 0 to 70 grams, we're going to need to add another 21 eggs, which gives us 51 eggs. And 0 to 100, so that should be all the eggs. We need to add another 9 onto that. So that should give us 60 eggs. And is that what it says at the top? Yes, there are 60 eggs. Okay, so we've got the cumulative frequency there. Now that's worth 1 mark. So you have to have all of these correct to get the 1 mark. Now we've done that, it asks us in part C, on the grid, draw a cumulative frequency graph for your table. Okay, so first one, from 0 up to 30 is 0 eggs. So up to 30 is 0 eggs, so it goes there. Now everything up to 50 grams, is 14 eggs. So everything up to 50, there's 14 eggs, which goes here. Next one says everything up to 60, there's 30 eggs. So up to 60 grams, there's 30 eggs. Up to 70 grams, there's 51 eggs. Yeah, up to 70 there's 51 eggs. Up to 100 there are 60 eggs in total. Okay, so up to 100 grams in weight there are 60 eggs. So hopefully I've done it right. So up to 50, up to 60, up to 70. Let me just check that. Up to 50, up to 60, up to 70. Okay. Now you're going to need to get try and join those lines up with a curve. This is your cumulative frequency curve. Okay. That's not too bad. So that's part C. On the grid, draw a cumulative frequency graph for your table. And I've just done that. Okay, so that's worth 2 marks. Let's have a look at what the mark scheme says you have to do to get those 2 marks. Okay, so the first mark comes from plotting 4 out of 5 of those points correctly, with only half a square either way in accuracy. Okay, so it has to be very, very accurate where you plot those points. The second mark comes from a fully perfect cumulative frequency graph where the gradient is never negative. Okay, so it's always positive, and you've plotted the 5 points correctly, and that's worth 2 marks. Okay, so part D says use your graph to find an estimate for the number of eggs with a weight greater than 63 grams. Okay, so you're going to go back to your graph. You're going to get your ruler, see where 63 is. So 63 grams is here. You're going to draw a vertical line up to your curve and then across. So I make that to be let's say 35. Okay, So that means there are 35 eggs which has up to a weight of 63 grams. Okay, so there are 35 eggs that have a weight that's up to 63 grams. Okay, so the question was, use your graph to find an estimate for the number of eggs with a weight greater than 63 grams. Well, if I think there's 35 eggs that has a weight from 0 up to 63 grams, and there's a total of how many eggs? 60 eggs. Total of 60 eggs. Then the rest of the eggs must be greater than 63 grams. Okay, so 60 take away 35 is 25, and that is the final answer. So 25 eggs have a weight greater than 63 grams. Okay, so part D is also worth 2 marks. Let's have a quick look at how you get those marks. So if you've got an answer in the range of 21 to 25, then you get both marks. Okay, so I've just made it onto 25, so I get both marks. If you've put in an answer of anything from 35 to 39, then that's worth 1 mark. Okay, if you've put that as an answer. And that is it.